In today's video, we're going to be continuing on our off-season plan report. Today's team we're analyzing is the New Jersey Devils, and that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So as I mentioned, today we're covering the New Jersey Devils off-season plan. In this series, we're covering all 31 NHL teams with their own dedicated video, analyzing their full scope of things they need to do this summer to get ready for next season. In case you haven't caught the other videos in this series, we're basically going to break this down into a couple different segments. The first segment, we're going to take a look back at the 18-19 season, analyze some team and player statistics and see how things went. Secondly, we're going to take a look at their cap situation, any contracts need to be looked after, either RFAs or UFAs, or what they might need to do from contract perspective. Thirdly, we're going to take a look at other areas they may need to address either through free agency, trades, or whatnot, or what things they really need to take a look at here to get better for next year. Now, as you can see, the New Jersey Devils finished with a 31-41-10 record for 72 points, 8th in the Metropolitan Division. So overall, this was not a very solid year for New Jersey, who only 1 year ago was a playoff team. Of course, 2 years before that, they were certainly finished low in the standings. Last year, they really bounced up. But then this year, they really had a major setback. And I think you could largely say that Taylor Hall's injury and lack of games played certainly played a major role in that. Now, taking a look here at some of their team and individual stats, on the power play, they clicked at a 17.7% rate for 21st in the NHL. So not fantastic, but not horrible either. And obviously missing Taylor Hall for a big part of the year played a major role in it not being better than what it was. The penalty killing, however, was actually 4th best in the NHL. It was actually very stellar, 84.3%. So that's one thing that actually went relatively well for the Devils this year. Although overall team defense wasn't great, the penalty kill certainly excelled. From a goals for perspective, they scored 222 goals for 26th best, and goals against they allowed 275, also 26th best. So overall, not a great year. If there's one area that really stuck out though as being their strong point, obviously it's the PK. Now, taking a look at their goaltending and some individual stats here, obviously from a goaltending perspective, that was a big problem this year. They really didn't have a clear-cut number one really for the whole year. Obviously, Corey Schneider missed an extended period of time after having surgery last year. We saw Keith Kincaid, we saw Mackenzie Blackwood, and the games played were really spread out between the three guys here. So let's take a look at how the goaltending statistics went this year. Now, of course, Corey Schneider, the veteran, had a record of 16, 15, and 4, a 903 save percentage, and a 306 goals against average. Now, we saw Corey Schneider go such a long period of time without getting a win in the NHL. It was such a sin to see him struggle, but he certainly finally got out of that streak and certainly looked a little bit better near the end of the year. Of course, Keith Kincaid found himself traded at the NHL Trade deadline to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before that, though, he certainly struggled with being the starter for the bulk of the year with Schneider being injured. He had a record of 15, 18, and 6, an 891 save percentage, and a 3.36 goals against. So Keith Kincaid last year certainly looked a lot better, but this year certainly struggled for sure. Later in the year with Schneider being out, certainly gave an opportunity for Mackenzie Blackwood to get some games in, and he didn't fare too badly actually. He finished with a record of 10, 10, and 0, a 2.61 goals against, and a 918 save percentage. So really, some of the better statistics amongst the three. He's obviously the youngest of the three as well. We saw Kincaid get traded at the deadline, so safe to assume more than likely next year they go into it with Blackwood and Schneider as their goaltending tandem, barring some offseason trades or something that happens, but more than likely that's what happens here. Now, taking a look at their top scores from this past year, their leading scorer was Kyle Palmieri at 27 goals and 50 points. Nico Hischier's sophomore season was followed up here with a 47-point campaign. We saw Travis Zajac put up 46 points for third most on the team. And of course, I want to mention Taylor Hall. Even though he's not one of their top scorers, he was doing well on a point-per-game basis. He put up 37 points in 33 games before he ended up having knee surgery and missing the remainder of the season. So obviously Taylor Hall the year before that won the Hart Trophy, had an absolutely phenomenal year, really broke out as being a leader on that team, which obviously he had been for a little while, but really finally broke through. We really saw that top-notch potential that he was expected to have when he went number one overall in his draft year, and certainly put the team on his back and carried them all the way to the playoffs. But unfortunately, that heavy lifting was just a little bit too much. He succumbed to injury, and down went the team like he did after he was hurt. Of course, throughout the year, we also saw some other trades, not just Keith Kincaid, but we also saw the move Brian Boyle and Marcus Johansson at the trade deadline. So some veteran guys moved out. So obviously, New Jersey knew they were well out of the playoffs, moving some of these guys off the books that were mostly pending UFAs here. Hard to say what these guys do for contracts in the offseason, but New Jersey certainly has a very interesting cap situation. Of course, one of the big things they have to look forward to this year is the 2019 draft as well. So now let's jump over here, get into segment 2, where we take a look at their team's cap situation, as well as any contracts that need to be looked after either from a UFA or RFA standpoint. Look at their RFA list. It is fairly long, and there's a pretty decent chance that all or most of these guys do return or get a qualifying offer, but that includes Pavel Zacha, Stefan Nason, Will Butcher, Connor Carrick, and Mirko Mueller. Obviously, the 3 blue liners more than likely will be qualified. There is a possibility I wouldn't be completely shocked if they moved on from Pavel Zacha. He's came in with a lot of potential. He was drafted fairly high, but hasn't really totally worked out. The lack of consistency is there. Wouldn't be shocked for them to try to find him new scenery. From a UFA standpoint, of course, they get Stafford, Agostino, and Yakovlev. So debatable on what they get, if anything, for contracts likely as well. It is possible they may decide to possibly move on there. But from a salary cap perspective, they have all kinds of room, lots of flexibility for GM Ray Shero on how he's going to go about this in the offseason. Right now for next year, they've only got 13 players under NHL contract, and they only have $47.4 million committed in salary, and they have at least $26 to $27 million in cap space, depending on what the new cap limit is for next year. Right now, it's going to be likely somewhere between 82 to 83 million, giving him all kinds of flexibility. There's been a lot of speculation, obviously, about offer sheets this year, and New Jersey would be a team to look out for if they actually indeed take place. They have all kinds of draft picks. They have all kinds of cap space. They would be a team to potentially throw one of these at, one of the top RFAs out there. I'm not going to link them to any particular player because I don't have reason to believe there's necessarily one more than another they're looking at, but there's all kinds of interesting guys on the RFA market that have had tremendous years, are tremendous hockey players, and their teams are certainly in cap crunch type of situations that teams like New Jersey could certainly take advantage of. So we'll see. Wouldn't be a complete shocker to see Ray Shero be one of those guys hauling out the offer sheet this summer if it indeed does happen. Now, of course, like I mentioned, the other big thing going on with the Devils this year is they yet again have the number 1 overall selection at the 2019 NHL Draft. So, 99.9% they're going to take Jack Hughes here with this selection. He's going to be a top center iceman. They're going to have Hughes and Hischier, your 1-2 punch down the middle here in a short period of time, which is going to be tremendous for them. Nico Hischier still has a couple more levels of his game I think he can find as well. His point total certainly suffered a bit as well this year from Hall being injured. I do believe that also played a role in a variety of things with this team. And Taylor Hall's future, again, like some of these other things, certainly also are going to play a big role here as well. Taylor Hall is entering the time of year in his contract. He's got 1 year left. He's eligible for an extension. Will he re-sign with the Devils? Are they going to make him a big offer to stay? It's certainly a lot of debatable things going on there because obviously Taylor Hall is their real main big name player on the team. 2 years ago, they don't go to the playoffs without him. He's a Hart Trophy winner now. He's certainly proved his worth here. This year, he was having a tremendous start to the year as well before the injury took place. So I'm sure the Devils would love to keep him. I'm sure they'll make him a nice offer to stay. But obviously, after going through a lot of tough years in a rebuilding Oilers team, and after the setbacks we saw the Devils have this year, is that something he's going to want to continue going through in New Jersey? Certainly a question. I guess we'll see if it gets answered. I don't think, though, the fact that they're going to be selecting Jack Hughes is going to hurt. Taylor Hall's got the option of playing with guys like Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier over the next number of years. That certainly sounds relatively intriguing. So I do think the odds are pretty good that he'll be able to stay. They have a lot of young pieces there he's going to enjoy playing with. They got all kinds of cap space to offer him a more than fair value contract. So we'll see what ratio offers them, but I can certainly see that being a big part of their summer here as well. Not only do they have the number 1 overall selection where they can take Jack Hughes, but they actually have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. So it would not be shocking to see Ray Shero wheeling and dealing at the draft as well. He could possibly use some of those other second, third round picks to maybe try to get back another first round selection as well. There's certainly some other guys in this draft that certainly appear interesting. I know one guy that I would not be shocked to see Shero try to work out would be Cole Caulfield, Caulfield's been setting records in the United States National Team Development Program for goals scored. He's small, which is going to scare off some teams, but he's a terrific goal scorer. They really should not be afraid. He looks like he could be the next Alex DeBrincat, potentially be a 40-plus goal scorer at the NHL level, and he's been tearing it up with Jack Hughes. If they could manage to get some draft picks in order to get both those guys, that would be absolutely huge for this franchise moving forward. Can you imagine maybe Hall playing with guys like Hughes and Caulfield? You throw in Nico Hischier in there, and suddenly that top six in New Jersey would look really solid for an extended period of time. Hard to say. That would not be easy to do for Ray Shero, but he's got lots of picks, he's got lots of cap flexibility, so he can certainly be aggressive at the draft here and see if that's a possibility. And if it's not Caulfield, it could certainly be another one of the interesting players to maybe grab another first-round pick. That would not be surprising at all. So lots of questions going to be answered in New Jersey this year. Obviously, how they use their cap space, how they use all these draft picks. Can they extend Taylor Hall? The future potentially here looks bright with New Jersey, but how long is it going to take to get them back before they're a consistent playoff team? Outside of those questions, they certainly have lots of depth pieces that could be addressed as well. They could certainly use some more secondary scoring. They could certainly use a little more help on the blue line. They certainly do have some other interesting prospects already in the system who might be able to come up and help with those positions as well. So it's certainly going to be an interesting time here for the offseason for the New Jersey Devils. Of course, as always, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. What types of things do you think that are going to be most important for the New Jersey Devils this summer? Are they definitely taking Jack Hughes? Will they get Taylor Hall extended to a long-term contract? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, and we will continue the conversation. And of course, give the video a like if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.